The latest issue of Empire magazine is now available, that being the May issue with the cover of the Thunderbolts, and it focuses all about the writer's room of the Avatar franchise. Avatar Theory here, hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day. And the only concept art that was featured in this issue is the one we already saw of Lowak on top of an eel. Unfortunately, there were no other new concept images released, as the only other image we got was a behind the scenes image featuring Cameron himself, as well as Trinity Bliss, aka Chook, Jack Champion, aka Spider, Sigourney Weaver, who plays Kiri, as well as Britton Dalton, who plays Lowak. Now there's nothing else really to spot from this behind the scenes image, and interestingly, if you look at the script pages, you can see that it's been brightened up significantly, almost as to blur the images or the text on the pages, because as some of you know from previous behind the scenes images, some script pages were leaked, and I'm fairly certain they learned their lesson from that. The only script image that we got was this one here, which says Untitled Avatar 3, written by James Cameron, Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, from a story by James Cameron, Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, Josh Friedman and Shane Salerno, where it says draft in a 3v3 with a date of June the 6th, 2017. And then it also says eyes only, do not copy, property of Lightstorm Productions. So this is likely the final script of Avatar 3, and at that time, in 2017, they didn't have a title for Avatar 3, hence the Untitled Avatar 3, but it is interesting to see that Avatar 3 was written back in 2017, as it was back then they also shot scenes for the movie. Now going back to the article itself, it's essentially a Q&A from Nick DeSemlian, where he interviews James Cameron, Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, and I highly recommend you check out the article for yourself, as there is a lot of interesting and funny bits from it, from the interview. And if you live in an area like me where the physical version of Empire magazine is not available, then you can always download the Empire app to get a digital subscription. Now the first question I want to focus on asks, quote, can you describe a day in the Avatar writer's room? Where Cameron responded, when you're putting together a writer's room, what you look for is the quality of the joke telling and the personal hygiene, fairly in that order. If some writing should happen to break out somewhere in there, so much the better. Cameron then continues, quote, Rick and Amanda and Shane and Josh and I sat in a room for 5 months with big whiteboard. The art department was just up the fire stairs from where we were, and I'd go up there and just start ripping art off the walls and bring it down and track it up in the writing room, end quote. The next question focuses on the script for Avatar The Way of Water, asking, quote, the script for The Way of Water ended up becoming 2 films, with fire and ash emerging out of it. How did that happen? Cameron states, quote, in a nutshell, we had too many great ideas packed into Act 1 of Movie 2. The film was moving like a bullet train, and we weren't drilling down enough on character. So I said, guys, we've got to split it. We took 3 hours of story and expanded it to 6.5 hours between the 2 movies, because movie 3 will actually be a little bit longer than movie 2. Amanda Silver then responded, quote, the characters needed to breathe. These movies are a lot more than just propulsive plot and gorgeous spectacle. I mean, these are real characters. Cameron then said, quote, there was one scene, and I don't want to say what the scene is, with Jake and adopted son Spider that always ripped our hearts out, and eventually it had to come out of movie 2 and go into movie 3, and now I think it orchestrates beautifully across the film, end quote. So what scene Cameron is referring to, I'm not entirely sure, but it is interesting that he stated that they took 3 hours and expanded it into 6.5 hours between 2 movies, and essentially the fact that Avatar The Way of Water is 3 hours and 10 minutes, I believe, that kind of gives us an indication that Avatar Fire and Ash will likely be around the 3 hour and 20 minute mark, thus making the total of 6 hours and 30 minutes. The last question I want to focus on asks, quote, Payakan, the talking whale, was a huge swing. Are there more big swings coming? Cameron stated, quote, "They're all big swing. It's that great equipoise in doing an ongoing narrative. How do you swerve and have the audience hold on to the handlebars while their ass is flying off the seat, and at the same time be true to the principles that you set down to begin with?" And again, it's character. The continuity of character and caring about them and going on their journey even when they get knocked down and they've got to pick themselves back up. Silver then responded, quote, "Kiri's on a journey of identity, but so is Jake." Finally, Cameron responded, "And so is Neytiri, and so is Quaritch. I can't wait for you guys to see this because you're going to see such a cool evolution. It's the evolution we all talked about. We put it there on the page, but to see the actors bring it to life, it's special." End quote. Cameron then continues to talk about his wife who saw an early cut and cried for 4 hours, something I've already spoken about and that they already teased in a previous article, so there's no point in repeating that. But as I said, there's a few other tidbits in here that's worth reading. That's why I can highly recommend you take out a subscription. I mean, doing a yearly subscription digitally would be worth the purchase because it isn't that expensive, and then you'll be set for the entire year's worth of Path to Pandora. So overall, like I said, not too much was revealed about the third Avatar movie. They just talk about a specific scene between Jake and Spider, an emotional scene that was cut from the second movie and put into the third movie. And maybe it's the scene where something happens to Spider, and this is speculation, but potential spoilers, where he almost dies and Kiri kind of saves him, turns him into this human avatar or this human Na'vi hybrid where he can breathe Pandoran air and has his own guru. And maybe that is a very emotional scene for Jake, but I'm not entirely sure, like I said. But it does seem like Avatar Fire and Ash will be certainly a much more emotional movie than The Way of Water. And of course the big question is, when will we actually get to see the first movie still of Avatar Fire and Ash? Now, I've speculated before that we will likely get the first teaser trailer at the end of April, potentially at the beginning of May, mostly because the Thunderbolts is releasing at the end of April in certain countries, but the 2nd of May worldwide. And I feel going forward we're going to see a lot more from the movie in the Path to Pandora series. And with the June issue probably releasing around the 17th of April, it would make sense that they would have the first movie still in the next issue, kind of like teasing what's to come in the teaser. And then in the July issue, which will of course release around the 15th of May, then they will start releasing more images, possibly exclusive images for the movie, because by then hopefully the teaser will be out. But that is of course just speculation. But what do you think of the May issue of Empire magazine focusing on the Path to Pandora series? Let me know in the comments below, and for more Avatar content, have a look at the rest of my channel. Until next time, have a fantastic day and stay safe.